Rain Brown, once the youngest and most promising member of the Alaskan Bush People family, has now been sentenced, marking a stunning turn in a story that has left longtime fans shocked. Once admired for her resilience and charm, Rain now faces the serious consequences of a criminal case that has upended her public image. She was arrested alongside her husband on charges of burglary, malicious mischief, and criminal trespass, a sharp fall from grace that has many asking what truly went wrong behind closed doors. While her legal fate is now sealed, deeper questions remain. How did Rain's life unravel so quickly? What silent struggles had she been facing? And after everything she's lost, can she find her way back, or is this truly the end of her story? The arrest itself sent shockwaves across the nation. On April 11, 2025, Rain Brown and her husband, Josiah Lorton, were taken into custody in Okanogan County, Washington. They faced serious felony charges, first-degree burglary and first-degree malicious mischief. In addition, Rain was charged with second-degree criminal trespass, a gross misdemeanor. According to official police reports, the couple allegedly entered private property without permission and caused significant damage. While many details, such as the property owner's identity, the exact extent of the damage, and what happened inside the home, have not been publicly released, authorities confirmed that the case was built on physical evidence and witness accounts. The public was stunned. Rain, who had been portrayed on television as the grounded and innocent daughter of the rugged Brown family, was now in handcuffs, facing serious charges. The image of her standing accused was a jarring contrast for viewers who had watched her grow up in the wilds of Alaska. After being booked into jail, Rain and Josiah remained in custody for 3 days. On April 14, 2025, they were released without having to post bail, a decision that surprised many. Some saw it as a sign that the case might not be as severe as it seemed, while others believed it reflected the couple's clean prior records. Regardless, they were instructed to return for a future court appearance. Public reaction was swift and divided. While many fans came to Rain's defense, convinced that she couldn't have committed such crimes, others pointed to her increasingly erratic behavior in recent years as a sign of deeper personal issues. The arrest marked a dramatic and very public downfall, thrusting Rain's once hidden struggles into the media spotlight. For weeks, official updates were scarce, leaving room for rumors and speculation to take over. But just moments ago, new developments emerged, confirming that the case has taken a heartbreaking and unexpected turn. These revelations have left fans worldwide reeling and questioning where Rain Brown's life is truly headed. What began as a shocking arrest has revealed itself to be part of a much larger, far more complex story, one shaped by years of emotional struggles that few fully understood. Long before her run-in with the law, troubling signs had already begun to appear in Rain's life. Behind the cheerful image familiar to viewers, she had been privately battling serious mental health issues that intensified over time. As the youngest member of a famous off-grid family, Rain grew up under immense pressure. She lived isolated from the outside world and navigated extreme conditions, all while the cameras rolled. While the lifestyle may have seemed adventurous to viewers, it took a deep emotional toll. In 2018, at just 15, Rain openly shared with her followers that she was struggling with depression. She admitted she had entered therapy to cope with overwhelming feelings of sadness, loneliness, and confusion. Over time, her posts on social media became more emotional and at times cryptic, referencing feelings of being lost or misunderstood. She once referred to herself as a lost soul. Her periodic disappearances from social media, sometimes lasting weeks or months, only fueled concern about her well-being. According to those close to the family, Rain's depression was persistent and worsened by the growing responsibilities she faced as she tried to balance life between two very different worlds. She was caught between the demands of survivalist living and the expectations of reality TV fame. This left her emotionally fragmented and distanced from typical support systems like friends, counselors, or mentors. Though she tried to express positivity through art, poetry, and uplifting posts, darker messages occasionally slipped through. In one revealing post, Rain described using a smile as emotional armor, suggesting the heavy burden she was silently carrying. Mental health battles are rarely straightforward, and those familiar with her journey believe these long-standing struggles may have clouded her judgment and weakened her ability to ask for help. Her arrest, in this view, may not be a sudden fall from grace, but rather the tragic culmination of years of unresolved pain. Rain's emotional struggles were further compounded by another devastating turning point, the death of her father, Billy Brown, in February 2021. His passing profoundly affected her. Billy wasn't just her dad, he was her guide, her hero, and the emotional anchor of her life. He died suddenly at 68 after a seizure at the family's North Star Ranch in Washington. His death left a gaping void in the Brown family, but for Rain, it was shattering. She was visibly grief-stricken in the aftermath, posting raw, emotional messages on Instagram. In one post, she wrote, "I don't know who I am anymore without you," encapsulating the depth of her loss. She often shared photos of sunsets and wilderness scenes, using them as symbols of her grief and search for meaning in a changed world. Following Billy's death, fans noticed a clear change in Rain's demeanor. She withdrew from the public eye, scaled back her presence on the family's show, and took long breaks from social media. The vibrant, energetic personality that fans once knew became somber and withdrawn. Family insiders later revealed that Rain had been grappling with waves of deep depression, struggling to find purpose in a world that no longer made sense. For her, moving forward seemed almost impossible. The death of Billy Brown, the emotional anchor of the family, sent shockwaves not only through Rain's personal world but also through the entire family dynamic. As the family's leader and decision-maker, Billy had held the group together through numerous hardships. In his absence, tensions between siblings became more visible, and the family's once solid unity began to unravel. For Rain, already grappling with personal emotional struggles, the loss of that support system made her situation even more fragile. She found herself unmoored, searching for stability at a time when she needed it most. Many who have followed Rain's journey believe Billy's death triggered a domino effect in her life. Without his guidance and protection, she became increasingly vulnerable to harmful influences, unstable emotions, and poor decisions. She struggled with setting boundaries, discerning real friends from opportunists, and forging an identity outside the carefully constructed public image of her family. These unchecked vulnerabilities eventually steered her into troubling territory, culminating in the legal issues now dominating headlines. Rain's grief was made even more difficult by its public nature. While mourning is hard enough in private, Rain's every move was monitored and judged by both fans and critics. Her social media posts, absences, and emotional expressions were dissected and scrutinized, leaving her feeling more exposed, isolated, and misunderstood. Many believe this heightened sense of isolation pushed her further into making desperate choices and trusting the wrong people. Amid overwhelming grief and a desperate need for connection, Rain turned to what seemed like her only source of comfort, a new relationship. This relationship would soon prove to be one of the most controversial and defining choices of her life. In the wake of Billy's death, Rain sought stability and emotional refuge. Isolated from her family and struggling with mental health challenges, she found companionship in Josiah Lorton. Little is publicly known about Josiah. He is not a celebrity, survivalist, or television figure like the Browns. His background remains largely private, fueling speculation. What is clear is that Josiah entered Rain's life at a time of immense vulnerability, when she was dealing with fractured family ties and public pressure. Their relationship largely unfolded away from the spotlight. Unlike earlier periods in her life, Rain kept this part of her world guarded. When she did post about Josiah, the glimpses were fleeting and reserved. Some fans viewed this secrecy as a sign of genuine affection, Rain protecting something sacred. Others worried that her unresolved trauma and isolation left her open to forming potentially unhealthy attachments. In 2024, Rain quietly confirmed that she had married Josiah. The announcement surprised even longtime fans. Most notably, none of Rain's siblings were present at the wedding, raising concerns about deep divisions within the family. To many, Rain's marriage represented a break from family traditions, an attempt at independence. However, it appeared to be driven more by emotional pain than empowerment. Insiders later described the couple's lifestyle as hand-to-mouth. Unlike the structured and supported life once afforded by Alaskan Bush People, Rain and Josiah reportedly faced frequent financial difficulties, moving often and relying on odd jobs to get by. The combination of monetary strain and Rain's emotional fragility created a stressful and unstable home life. In April 2025, Rain and Josiah were arrested on charges of burglary, malicious mischief, and trespassing. Observers quickly linked the incident to Rain's ongoing personal struggles and the pressures of her marriage. What initially seemed like a stabilizing relationship may have evolved into another source of chaos. For some, Josiah was a lifeline in Rain's darkest moments. For others, he represented another influence accelerating her downward spiral. As the legal case unfolded, Rain finally broke her silence, pointing not to her husband, but to someone else she once trusted, her former manager. After spending 3 days in jail, Rain was released without bail. Before her next court appearance, she took to Instagram to share a heartfelt and surprising message. Instead of addressing the charges or expressing remorse, she accused her former manager of betrayal, theft, and setting her up with false accusations. In an emotional post, Rain alleged that the manager, who had once been entrusted with her career and finances, not only stole $43,000 from her but was now orchestrating her downfall. "It hurts my heart that my rainbows would choose to believe the lies," she wrote, "that my old manager who stole $43,000 from me and abused me instead of maybe thinking, oh no, who is saying this about Rain? Not, wow, what a waste." She pleaded with her followers to wait for her side of the story, adding, "It deeply hurts my heart. With all this said, I hope y'all will stick around to hear my side of the story. God bless y'all." She also included a Bible verse to underscore her plea, "Judge not, lest ye be judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged." Through this statement, Rain presented herself as a young woman betrayed by someone she trusted during her most vulnerable years. She described herself as the victim of emotional abuse and financial manipulation, insisting that the legal trouble she faced was the result of calculated deceit, not personal wrongdoing. Fans responded with mixed emotions. Some sympathized with Rain, believing she had been taken advantage of in the aftermath of her father's death. They viewed her as emotionally fragile and easily exploited by manipulative people. Others, however, were skeptical. They questioned whether Rain's accusations were a way to avoid taking responsibility for her own choices. Critics pointed out that serious legal charges aren't filed lightly and suspected she was trying to sway public opinion ahead of her court date. No matter where the public stood, one thing was undeniable: Rain Brown's online statement transformed a private legal issue into a highly publicized battle to protect her reputation. The focus had shifted, not just on whether she had committed a crime, but on whether she had been deeply wronged by those she trusted. What began as a scandal involving accusations against Rain Brown's former manager quickly evolved into something far more complex, a tangled web of betrayal, manipulation, and emotional unraveling. As media attention grew, new and deeply unsettling revelations emerged, not from the outside world, but from within Rain's own family. Hidden fractures, long-standing tensions, and painful betrayals that had remained private for years were now coming to light. While Rain faced legal challenges and pointed fingers at her former manager, a far more personal conflict was festering closer to home. Well before her 2025 arrest, signs of serious discord between Rain and her siblings had already surfaced, exposing a darker and rarely seen side of the Brown family, one that deviated sharply from their public image. In August 2024, Rain's brother, Noah Brown, and his wife filed for a protective order against her in Okanagan County Court. The claims they made were both alarming and deeply personal. In court documents, Noah alleged that Rain engaged in stalking, harassment, and drug use. He claimed that her actions had become so extreme they posed a threat to the safety of his family, especially his young sons, Elijah and Adam. Specific allegations included threats of violence and references to firearms, painting a picture of a volatile and unpredictable presence in their lives. According to Noah, Rain had shown a pattern of malicious and intentional threats, creating serious emotional distress. He also claimed she was abusing cocaine and methamphetamine, drinking heavily, and even offering cocaine to their mother, Ami Brown, during a visit in December 2023. Two disturbing events were highlighted in Noah's petition. One allegedly took place during the filming of Alaskan Bush People in July 2022, when Rain reportedly told Noah in an elevator, "My life would be so much easier if you were dead. If only I wouldn't get caught. I think my gun is in my room." Another incident, in May 2023, involved a malnourished horse. When Noah offered help, Rain allegedly lashed out, saying, "Just stop. We don't need your help. I'd rather the horse die than listen to you. I'll take its life myself. Go wait in your truck, or I'll get my gun right now." The horse reportedly died the next day. In light of these accusations, Noah requested that Rain be barred from contacting his family and that she surrender all firearms, including handguns, semi-automatic rifles, and shotguns. However, the court denied the temporary restraining order. The judge cited insufficient evidence and procedural shortcomings, concluding that the alleged events were either too old or not clearly substantiated enough to warrant emergency protection. Rain didn't stay silent after the court filing. She addressed the situation publicly on Instagram, expressing her anger at what she perceived as unrealistic expectations and public judgment. She criticized society's preference for curated, flawless personas over genuine, imperfect reality. How come in a world so harsh it is praised more to be fake than it is to be real? Why do I have to pretend I don't know what the F word is or pretend I am a perfect woman? She asked. Rather than apologizing or offering clarification, Rain's tone was defiant and unapologetic, asserting her refusal to conform to others' expectations. She also hinted that the full story hadn't been told, suggesting that people were only hearing one side. If that sentence offended you, she wrote, and you asked yourself, what happened to her? Keep asking that question. Maybe one day I'll write a book. For some observers, the disturbing claims made by Noah added new weight to Rain's recent burglary charges. Her legal troubles were no longer dismissed as youthful missteps or misunderstandings but instead appeared to be part of a growing pattern of instability. Skepticism also surrounded Rain's initial claim that her former manager had set her up. While a few supporters stood by her, more and more fans began to question her credibility. If Rain really did all the things her brother accused her of, then she's no longer the sweet, bright light we saw on TV. She's no saint, one fan commented. Another added, at this point, it's hard to believe Rain is innocent. You don't get this many accusations from your own family unless there's at least some truth to it. Just when it seemed her situation had hit rock bottom, even more devastating news emerged. After months of silence, breakdowns, and speculation, the truth finally broke. Rain Brown's case had reached a turning point. Following her April 2025 arrest, she had been released without bail and instructed to await her court date. For a time, all that came from Rain were cryptic posts and silence, fueling rumors about how the legal process was unfolding. Some believed Rain would fight the charges. Others suspected a quiet plea deal was being arranged. Now, however, sources close to the case have confirmed that Rain has been officially sentenced for burglary and malicious mischief. While the exact court documents have not been made public, insiders report that Rain either entered a guilty plea or agreed to a plea deal with prosecutors, resulting in a formal judgment against her. Details of the sentencing, such as jail time or probation, remain sealed for now. But what is certain is that the case did not end in Rain's favor. The fallout has reverberated throughout the Alaskan Bush People fanbase, with many longtime viewers who once saw Rain as the family's bright, rebellious spirit now confronting disappointment and sorrow over her downfall. Public response has been sharply split. Some fans insist that Rain's history of trauma, family betrayal, and the intense pressures of fame explain her downward spiral. Others see her sentencing not as a tragedy, but as the inevitable result of years of increasingly erratic and troubling behavior. To them, the court's decision is not unjust but a sobering confirmation that Rain's life has veered dangerously off course. Now, with her legal battle concluded and her public image deeply damaged, Rain Brown stands at a crossroads. Her future is uncertain, and the road ahead is likely to be difficult and solitary. Once full of promise, her path is now marked by scandal, emotional upheaval, and broken relationships. As fans come to terms with this new reality, one painful question lingers: is there any future left for Rain Brown, or has she disappeared from public life for good? As for what lies ahead, Rain's sentencing has cast a long shadow over her prospects. Though official court documents haven't been released, sources indicate she may be facing jail time, depending on the specific terms. Regardless of the sentence's length, her reputation has taken a significant hit. It's highly unlikely that she will return to television or continue her association with Alaskan Bush People. Networks and sponsors typically distance themselves from personalities with criminal records, especially involving serious charges like burglary. For now, Rain is expected to step out of the spotlight and focus on personal healing. Her priorities will likely include staying out of further legal trouble and rebuilding her life. Whether she ever makes a return to public life remains uncertain. At present, Rain Brown's story has reached its lowest and most public point. What do you think of Rain's sentencing? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.